Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Welcome in once again to another edition of the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll be talking to Blake coming up in just a second. I know it's the holidays, but you probably have a lot of questions going on right now about what's happening with your real estate, and that's why Blake is here to give you all those answers. A lot of great numbers coming up that you need to know about, and when you hear those numbers, if you want to get some more information about them, please feel free to give Blake a call. His phone number at Sloan Realty Group here in town is 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or you can go on to the website at blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. Without further ado, let's go ahead and find out what's on his mind this week. Hey, Blake.
Good morning. Got an awesome brand new show this week here for the holiday weekend. Obviously, got a special guest in the house, Michael SICHITANO. He's one of the best appraisers in town, and he knows the market inside and out. Give us like a little insight into his world, what he does. I've known him for a very long time. A very trusted advisor to us in our aspect of we use him all the time for things. So great, I guess help for the whole market as a whole. We'll talk about this year, next year, 2017, obviously. Also dig into the market numbers for anybody that missed last week's update, kind of some ups and downs. Had a great recovery last month in regards to overall market numbers. Also about interest rates. Had a crazy past few weeks. Last week was one of the highest in 2 years, so it's back down a little bit this week. Talk about where those rates are at. Also, some brand new success stories. And a few things we finally maybe get to this week. The kitchen remodels under $500. Everybody's been asking about that. Also, the two areas of your house that can definitely hurt you the most when you're selling your home. We'll definitely get time for those at the end today as well.
All right, a lot of good stuff, as you heard, is coming your way. One of the things, though, you need to keep in mind is that, Blake has been doing this for a long time, but if you're tuning in for the very first time, let me give you a little bit of information on what you're going to be hearing. Now, Blake's been called the real estate whiz kid. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, on NBC. You've also seen him in Realtor magazine and maybe with Fox and Friends with Morning Show. He's been personally endorsed on this very radio station. You've heard them from Sean Hannity, Mike Beck, also Barbara Corcoran. One of those by itself would be really neat. Put them all together, and it's just unheard of. It's unprecedented. And every week also, again, if you're just tuning in, Blake wants to make sure that you know a little bit of what he does with the trademark systems he has for both sellers and buyers as far as homes are concerned. And Blake, why don't you give us a little bit of an insight of what you like to do?
Absolutely. Like we mentioned before, and I made a promise a long time ago to make sure we cover this every single week because the same thing always happens to me. Happened this past week again. I meet with people and they say, man, wish we had met with you earlier. They have a horror story they went through in regards to getting their home sold, something happened. So one thing that's most important to make sure we talk about, the single most important variable that determines your failure or success in getting your home sold, or even when buying a house, comes down to one thing only, the agent that you choose, right? Their process, how they handle A to Z and the whole entire thing. And so, for example, when you sell a house, there's 118 different variables. If each one's handled correctly, guess what? It puts more money in your pocket and or gets sold successfully. If those are mishandled through the process, that costs you part of your hard-earned equity, or the property does not sell at all, which happens almost 50% of the time here in our market. So that's one of the things you got to watch out for. Obviously, who you use matters. Same thing if you're using a doctor, lawyer. You want to make sure the absolute best, the person that you have, helps you from A to Z. And so what we did, we identified all those variables, 118 of them, reverse engineered every single one to give maximum leverage to our clients from A to Z to give them the ultimate competitive advantage when they sell a house. That's called the guaranteed sold system. Only proven system sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And for buyers out there, our unfair advantage home buying system gets you priority access foreclosure, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best financing in the process, and also the best negotiation strategy from A to Z to give them the ultimate competitive advantage when they buy a house in the process.
All right. We're just getting started here on this weekend's edition of the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show. Coming up in just a minute, we've got a recap of some of the latest real estate numbers. Also, we'll see what the interest rates are looking like this week, and a lot more on the way throughout the course of the show today. Again, if you'd like to get in touch with Blake, it's easy to do. Call him at his office at Sloan Realty Group at 808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. Or you can go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. This is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Hey, it's your friend Sean Hannity. Now, if you own property Myrtle Beach,
so we have two more things, and then that's the hardest part for me to get through. So
is absolutely critical. That's exactly why you need to talk to Blake Sloan.
I mean, I can understand what you're saying.
I agree. I'm not the last person that should ever have a radio show.
But
it works.
From around the world that he can guarantee to sell your home at a price and a deadline that you agree to, or Blake's going to buy it.
While most agents
But I
rely
mean,
on
like,
yard signs and
like
open
told you
houses
for
that
the,
attract the occasional
Adams,
buyer, Blake attracts hundreds of buyers each month.
morning
which
radio
creates
show on the
demand
Gator.
and helps
I mean,
their
he did
property
a
sell
commercial
fast for the top dollar.
Yeah,
That's why on average,
yeah,
Blake sells
everybody's
his
been talking
property
about
every
that,
single
which
day
is
of the
cool.
year and is ranked among
He's
the
awesome.
top 100 agents in the entire U.S. by the Wall Street Journal. And working with Blake is risk-free. If you're not happy, Blake gives you the freedom to cancel your contract and pay nothing. So give Blake a call today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or just go online and see Blake's interview on NBC at blakesguarantee.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agreed to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
The Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. We'll talk to Blake again here in just a second. Remember, if you want to get in touch with him, you can. 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com. Latest on the interest rates coming up in just a second. A little bit of a recap, though, on what the real estate market is looking like, Blake.
Yeah, everybody's been asking about the numbers, where they're at, kind of what happened. We talked about we had 4 straight months of decline from a sales standpoint up to October. And last month's numbers came out from November. Had a big jump back up. We talked about why that was. A quick recap. Obviously, October numbers, we had 0.2% decrease in sales for that month, but that's mostly because a lot of the closings that were scheduled to close had to go back out and be reappraised or reinspected. It got pushed into November, and so that's something we may talk about with Michael in a second, but that obviously skewed the numbers a lot. So last month's numbers came in. Single-family sales increased 9.5% last month alone, and year-to-date sales up 3.5% for the overall MLS as a whole, which is good. So in my opinion, we're probably between, like I said, a 0 and maybe a 5% increase in sales last month, where most of those sales that were included there for that jump should have closed in October, where they're seeing about 9.4% decrease the month before that. So if you look at that year-to-date, here's kind of the cool thing breaking that out, though. Median sales price up to $221,700 and up 5.6% for the month, which is a huge number there, a pretty big jump for values just last month alone. And they're up 3.4% so far for 2016. So overall, if you had a house listed, in January worth $100,000, now it's worth $103,400. So that's kind of the great thing overall. Obviously, the micro markets matter. We'll talk about that next week in this show. But obviously, certain zip codes, certain neighborhoods are more, like Michael and I were talking about earlier. Myrtle Beach is up like 7%. So that's kind of different examples there. We'll break into one of the interesting numbers, though. If you break out new construction and resales, pretty big gap there. So new construction prices are actually down 7.6% in November, where resale prices up 15.1%. So that's some interesting numbers there to kind of think about and watch, and we'll kind of continue watching the next months going forward. We've seen that go up and down here the past few months in our previous numbers, but year-to-date, median sale price for new construction and resales are up 0.2% and 5.4% respectively, for example, the resales there. And the average list sale price ratio for single-family homes is 95%, and that was down 100 basis points from where it was the same month last year. I've seen some other reports that had a little bit higher than that, but right around that same area as well. Condo sales actually increased 10.5% compared to the same month last year. Again, that's part of some of the ones that were pushed back into the next month from the hurricane, and they're up 8.4% year-to-date. So great news there. Almost double-digit growth for condos in regards to the amount of sales. Median sales price is up 11.5% last month, so a huge jump last month for values in condos, which is great news there. A lot has to do, both these, and the homes and condos, has to do with the inventory strain we've had a little bit, right, where there's just not as much inventory out there. You're seeing stuff that's priced right, that's marketed right, getting high to multiple offers on them a lot as well. The other part, too, is inventory has actually gone down in condos as well in that report, and their average list sale price ratio is 93% right now, and it's up 200 basis points from where it was the same month last year. So the same month last year was 91%. Right now they're getting 93%. So for example, if you have a condo listed at $100,000, on average selling for $93,000 right now, which is great news, from that standpoint, seeing that increase. Lot sales were down 2.9% for November, and they're down 10.2% for the year. That comes down to one thing only, just a lack of inventory, right? We're seeing that they were getting scooped up very quickly. They've been up, down. You guys remember the numbers from each previous month. Like last month, I think there was like a crazy number, 60% increase in prices or something they had, last month, those numbers. So it's finally leveled back out a little bit as well. So what that means is we're seeing pretty good recovery here. I think a little more certainty after the election has been huge We see, even for example, last month's numbers for November, those are not the actual numbers from post-election. Those are ones that are pending already from the previous month. So, for example, most times it's going to take a 30, 45-day close and sometimes 60-day close, depending on what type of loan they're getting, things like that. So most of these that close in this November report had already been under contract since October. So we'll see what these numbers are for December, once it comes out here in a few weeks, and look and see what those patterns are. But the best thing here, and we've seen a lot more, great, I guess, bullish attitude from both buyers out there and also sellers as well. The one thing we've been watching, though, is interest rates. And if Dave, you want to go ahead and go to those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's been kind of crazy. We had a mortgage expert on the show last week. Obviously, we're bringing a lot more experts on the show for you guys to get more value and kind of see into our world a little bit. Like I said, we're the absolute best, in my opinion, in the sales side, the marketing side, to get your property sold, and we align ourselves with the best experts in the industry to advise us and to advise our clients to that process. So right now, a 30-year fixed rate on average right now, 4.3%. And that's kind of back down a little bit from actually where it was before. And last week is actually 4.38. It's been pretty flat this week. Actually, yesterday it was at 4.35. But 2 weeks ago, we were at 4.15, then 4.24. Back to 4.10, then 4.03. I'm just kind of giving you the trend here. So 6 weeks ago, it was 3.85. 7 weeks ago, we're at 3.60. And all the way, I think, about 8 weeks ago, was at 3.39%. So almost a 4 point it's increased in the last 8 or 9 weeks, which is huge there. And that's kind of the big news everyone's talked about. You can go back and look at our YouTube channel, watch the whole show last week with what we saw there. Obviously, that's kind of the one thing where last week was actually the highest it's been in 2 years. They were pretty much flattest it's been in a long time this entire week. Obviously, has to do with the holidays a little bit and some details into the bond market. So that's one thing that everybody's going to kind of see it continue to go up a little bit. We think, obviously, this is the new norm, but it goes back into kind of where each numbers are looking back in 2000s, early 2000s, you're in the mid to high sixes. So it's still very, very, low rates relative to the long-term, I guess, trend of rates here. We're just so used to kind of that artificially low rates we had here recently, but we definitely going to think it's going to climb up, a little bit more into 2017. Every single expert is saying it's going to climb there, between 4.5% to 4.7%, but hopefully remain below 5% in 2017. But we'll continue watching that, and hopefully every expert's also saying as long as it's not getting above, 5.5 to 6, it shouldn't hurt the housing market too much overall as well.
All right. Well, like I said, it's the most important numbers you can have, so thanks for that. All right, coming up in just a minute, we got some other things that you're going to be interested in. A hot buyer alert for the work. We also got some great, for the week rather, we also got some great success stories, and we got a special guest in the studio with us today we'll be talking to in just a couple of seconds. That's all coming your way in just a minute, so hold on for that. If you'd like to get in touch with Blake, you can. Call him at his office at 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, or go online to blakesloan.com, blakesloan.com.
So we'll have about
the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
About 10 minutes, 8 minutes. So that's a lot to fill. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got the kitchen stuff, because there's only so much you can talk about. So that's one thing that anything you can think of for me to ask.
Blake has a marketing system that reaches buyers from around the U.S. and around the world.
From one to every week to start out with what you see, how much looks to out.
That's why you can guarantee to sell your home right at a deadline.
Perfect. Yep, that's perfect. I mean, just like anything you see other to differentiate you, like a half-ass stuff you see other regulars doing stuff, yeah.
Barbara Corcoran endorsement. Call Blake Sloan right now. 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD.
You say go out and deal for us, then you couldn't, you know what I'm saying?
BlakesGuarantee.com. BlakesGuarantee.com. Or listen to Blake's Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 or Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on WRNN. All right, coming up in just a second, some success stories from Blake Sloan and Sloan Realty Group. Right now, it's time for your hot buyers alert. Blake and his team working with a huge amount of home buyers looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area in a pretty big range, from $150,000 to $3.5 million. So if you're in that range and even thinking of selling, Blake needs inventory. Call him right now at 843-808-SOLD, 843-808-SOLD, and find out what you can do and what he can do. Now, there's a lot of people who are looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area, so much so it's really tough to keep up with. Blake has a website that has not just a handful of people looking for homes in the Myrtle Beach area. He's got over 30,000. As a matter of fact, the latest number we saw this morning, 30,362 active home buyers. Blake, that's active home buyers, people that are looking on maybe an hour-to-hour basis, not just once a week.
Oh, yeah, like
they're looking for the latest listing right now.
They're stalking it all day, pretty much multiple times a day. Like right now, there are tons of people on the site right now searching like from all over North America. We even have them like globally, China, Dubai. We get tons of buyers from everywhere. And right now, these people like have real people with real accounts, like username, password. It tracks everything right now. Bill Katz he's actually one of our clients on the site right now. Been here 91 visits, looking at properties. Marsha Price, been on here 51 times. Joe Fabian, 527 visits here on the site. So these are real buyers who are coming back continuously and searching over and over and over, right? So they're very serious buyers. And how do we have this many buyers? This is one thing we show clients when we sit down with them that absolutely blows their mind, okay? And so the one difference between me and everyone else, a lot of single agents out there, they're working, you're seeing them, they're trying to wear all the hats, juggle all the balls. They're working with buyers, they're working with sellers, they're doing, all their administrative work, they're doing all their, marketing stuff, they're also doing all their contract to close. And so that's like having the same person at McDonald's through the front register, the drive-thru, and fries at the same time. It's not really effective from a business model standpoint, but also they're just capped out in what they can do in a day from a business model aspect. And so what we did, what got us featured in Forbes and Wall Street Journal and everything, I flipped the business model upside down. Me as team leader, certain listings, certain areas, certain price ranges. We have 8 buyers agents really, who all day, every day, all they do is they hunt. They follow up with leads that we have, bring them to listings that we have, if we have something like that. And obviously, if not, we take them to MLS, sell them something else. But the big advantage that gives me, I can now spend my money to acquire buyer clients. So, for example, if I was a single agent with 30,000, buyer leads, I'd be out of business, right? There's just not enough time to follow up with that amount of buyer leads. But with our business model, I can spend my money driving traffic. We spend over $10,000 a month driving traffic online with Google, Yahoo, Bing, and paid search traffic, which gives you as a home seller a huge advantage because now we have a big funnel funneling buyers to your property, which is obviously why they sell much faster, almost twice as fast, and for more money than the average listing out there. So that's a big advantage we have. That's what the challenge is with the inventory, right? We have 30,000 buyers. There's less than 5,000 houses in the market. So that's the big thing there we need. So if you're thinking about selling, if you know somebody you're talking about at the Christmas table about a horror story they had, have them call me now. 843-808-SOLD. Don't wait till next week. Don't wait till Google's later. Just go ahead and have them call me. 843-808-SOLD. Guess what? Working during holidays. Call us. We'll make sure you get well taken care of. But the main thing too is everybody's waiting to the first year to take action. Everybody's been paralyzed the past Thanksgiving to Christmas. So all the buyers, as they do January 1st, they have their New Year's resolutions. They're also back in the game searching. Right? So they're searching right now on the site. But you want to make sure that you have your house positioned there and you're able to take advantage of that when people get back in the ball game. Don't wait till the spring market when your neighbor on the street has their house in the market as well. Reach out to me now so we can at least get a strategy in place to get you the absolute best advantage in that process. But from our marketing standpoint, once you sit down with this, it will absolutely blow your mind. It's what we do versus what everyone else does, and how much money I spend on your behalf up front to drive traffic to your house and get it sold for more money. So that kind of goes into, if you want, Dave, right to our success stories, which is I'm most proud of these. It's been a crazy past 2 weeks. Most have been slow. I was actually hoping to be a little more slow. We've had offer after offer action that we're actually been working on. So perfect example, most agents are actually slacking off, have been checked out for the past 2 weeks. Our team's still been there hustling, making the calls, following back up. Just this week, Michael, he had a house in Surfside. He listed with another agent over 6 months, which before he came to us, which sounds pretty familiar because we talk about this every week. How many people actually list with someone else first, and they finally had to come to us to fix that. But they had hardly any action on it. 0 offers, of course. We came in and implemented our global marketing program. We got it under contract under 2 weeks at almost full asking price. So this is one of the many examples we've been through. We talked, I think, last week about Susan, who's a referral from one of our past clients. She moved to Florida for a job plan to her. She needed to get top dollar for her house, and we actually had to price it significantly higher than anything else in the neighborhood. And based on the numbers that she needed for her net, we came in and implemented our professional photos, global marketing system, got 3 offers on the property in 4 days, and it will sell over asking price. So that's a huge thing there as well. Also, Angela and Howard, they came to us after being with another agent for almost 300 days, had almost 0 action on it. All they did was the 3 Ps, right? They promised the world to get the listing, they put it in MLS, and they prayed someone else would bring a buyer to them, and it just sat there and nothing else happened. Their marketing, their pictures, everything were terrible. We came in, implemented our global marketing program, got under contract in a few weeks. So back to that, what that means is the fact is your agent matters, their marketing matters, and how they handle this process from A to Z really, truly matters. So the other thing, too, is we just closed on a home that was a short sale. Owner owed way more than it's worth and could no longer make his payments on the property. We listed it. One of our agents bought the buyer to ourselves. So we actually have both sides of that. We negotiated with the bank for them to take less than what they owed on it and not go after him for any deficiency at all. We got the deal done. He avoided foreclosure and had over $60,000 that wiped out. He did not own the property. So if you know anybody out there that's struggling right now, I know it's a little bit less than it was when the market was a little tougher, but if you know anyone out there that needs that type of help, we have a separate corporation and a partnership with attorneys that help get that part done for you. So have them reach out to me, 843-808-SOLD. Just this week, put houses in contract, Myrtle Beach, Briarcliff, Surfside. That's just myself, not including my team and everyone else. So we're super busy right now. We're going to see a huge, first 2 months of this year. So reach out to me right now if you're thinking about selling. Don't wait. Call us 843-808-SOLD or go right now to blakesloan.com. Some information on there, and we'll set up a one-on-one consultation as well.
Okay.
Awesome. So if you want, I guess one thing I do is kind of get into our special guest. We got a little bit of time left, obviously.
Yeah.
This person, I said Michael SICHITANO, good friend of mine, known him for years and years and years. But he's been a huge savior to us in our business. We have, one of the things we talk about, deals that go through, and obviously one of the things that it depends on is the appraisal. And so there's been so many times the appraisal will come in, short or be wrong, and then he's always helped us through the years to kind of review appraisals. And there's been so many times that he saved us, from deals that would blow up, where he found errors that other, appraisers were making and things were happening in the process. He's very, very good, a student of the game, just like kind of we are. But that's one of the things the same thing in that process, your appraiser matters. And that's one of the things that I just want to talk to him about a little bit. And good morning, Michael. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing awesome. So just kind of tell everybody, what are your thoughts so far kind of on what 2016 market's been like and kind of your overall experience of what you've seen?
In our experience, 2016 has been actually the best market we've had since 2005 or 6, activity-wise. Of course, not pricing-wise, but activity-wise, it's been fantastic.
And so you've seen that obviously pick back up. You were saying you're super slammed in regards to doing a lot of appraisals, this year, but from a value standpoint, too, you've seen it kind of climb up as well.
Of course, yeah. Just the Myrtle Beach marketplace, 29577, sales as a whole from 2014 to 15 to 16 are up about 7%.
Gotcha. And so, based on that, you and I were kind of chatting about it earlier. What do you think that, basically that we're looking at in 2017 and kind of what happens and what's going to go, going forward, kind of based on what you've seen so far?
We're really optimistic about 2017. The market looks like it's headed in the correct direction still. There's a lot of new construction projects that are coming up and are going to be available. One was just approved in the Market Commons area for another 500 plus homes, and they should start in 2017. We
were talking about earlier that kind of Market Commons been kind of carrying the Myrtle Beach area, zip code as well. And you guys said you've been slammed in there doing a lot of appraisals in there as well.
Oh yeah.
And you do both new construction, resales, everything commercial. And that's one of the things that, he's seen a lot. And, that's kind of something that we were talking about that's been a huge thing for me. Maybe not, the consumers as much, but what are some of the mistakes you see that people make or other appraisers out there kind of run into?
A big thing with us is just confident. I mean, that some of the appraisers, sometimes will come from distances they really shouldn't and aren't very confident within the market. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to go to Savannah and do an historical home, so I don't think someone from Charlotte can come here and do an oceanfront home.
But guess what?
Not geographic confident.
But they still do it, right?
They still do it all day, every day.
They won't turn down that money. We see that happen all the time, and that's one of the big mistakes that they run into, and that's something that, Michael's helped us in the past where we see appraisals coming short. They're super high. A lot of times there'll be certain things and they screwed up in the process because there's a lot of aspects to it where they'll make the adjustments wrong, right? I mean, I've sent Michael a few appraisals and he'll write back, dude, they missed this, and this. This was adjusted wrong because there's so many details like adjustments for square footage, for bedroom size, for different features, things like that. And is that some of the stuff you see a lot of times happen as well?
Oh yes. The adjustments are a big factor into it, and I mean, it really goes back to just being geographically competent because an appraiser or an AVM or any kind of digital search can work, Zillow, something like that. But in some of our markets, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge. In East of 17 Ocean Marketplace, you got homes from, new construction to $5 million to same exact, next door 1,000 square foot and 45 years old.
Exactly right. And that's something we see a lot. We'll see Zillow sometimes be 20% off, 23% off. And so that's kind of one of the hardest things that there's no way to automate that, right? It takes the human element of it. And that kind of we were talking about too, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that consumers have or people have kind of the process or what you guys do or how the whole thing works?
They think that we come in there and we're in there for 45 minutes, we measure the home and the appraisal is complete, we send it back to the bank as soon as we get back. That's just the start of the process. That's the easy part. The actual compiling of all the data and actually typing the report from start to finish, we're looking at 4 to 5 hours all day, every day for a report. It's not the 45 minutes that we're there just inspecting, looking at the home.
Now, I do hear that a lot. It's, the appraiser came, they're only here for 30 minutes, right? But that's what we don't really understand, and that's something that we see a lot. They pretty much know the value of the house, before you get there based on today's data. Not to a, exact number, but a good range because you know the square footage, things you can pull up to show the whole floor plan. We can see all that stuff on the back end, and obviously more of that stuff that's just verifying it, making the correct measurements and making sure you kind of make personal adjustments on the fly based on what you see. But a lot of times you kind of see that as well. Anything else you kind of see that, that you see out there happening, a lot of some of the misconceptions that people may run into?
Just another thing, and then bring this up, just would be fee-based. A lot of homeowners are, under the understanding that the appraiser is actually getting this fee, because the fees since Dodd-Frank was implemented in 2008-9 have gone up considerably for the homeowner for the appraisal fee. little does the homeowner know that we are actually only sometimes receiving about 60% of that fee. So they're getting charged this $800 fee, thinking that it's going to the appraiser, when this middle person that's been brought in, of which is an AMC, just to service this, to be a provider between us and the actual lender, is actually taking, in some cases, 40%.
Almost half the property, almost half the price. And that's something that, after that Dodd-Frank, which we talked about in previous shows, has kind of wrecked almost everything. But that's kind of the middleman who just gets their pockets creased because they get to pick who it goes to. And ideally, I guess, from the thought process, they want to make sure that, certain banks weren't controlling the appraisers and they were going to, favorite ones who give more money or something. That's one of the other, misconceptions I think that a lot of consumers have is, this appraiser, didn't want to do it, or he wanted to do it high. I mean, you go in with one goal, and one goal only, right, is to find the true price, and that's it. And it's that simple. Is there certain times that there's a contract out there that and there's sometimes you can't find those comps to justify, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, that's both sides of the coin. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think we should be able to dictate on a $200,000 house a range of $1,000. I don't think there's any appraiser out there should ever kill a deal or not make a deal over $1,000. You're not that good. No one is to do that.
Exactly.
We're
right.
just the eyes and the ears for the bank. And not for them to make a large mistake on lending on something they shouldn't.
And that's the key point. The appraiser, a lot of times in that process for purchasing a property, obviously anybody gets financing, we know that the bank requires that appraisal. That's to justify their investment or their risk on your behalf to make sure that that asset that's secured with is obviously worth that amount of money, right? And obviously that's something as the market raises back up, we kind of run into that as well. One of the last quick things is, what are the things that you think or see bring the most value to somebody's house? I get that all the time. Like, hey, what's helped that? What's the biggest thing that you kind of see that helps bring value or big adjustments or things like that?
Anything that's 10 years old now, it's in some cases needs to be brought up to, what I would call modern day improvements. So anything, the wood flooring, granite countertops, stainless appliances, new hardware going from, brass to nickel, nickel to bronze, any of those things that can drastically improve the home, and something as minor as interior paint can change it.
Absolutely, and you kind of get the feel of that too. Anything that you see kind of as like a killer, or anything that's like a bad thing you can kind of see hurts value versus the same person down the street or anything at all?
Yeah, in some cases, yes. I mean, every market and every neighborhood's a little bit different, but in some cases, yeah, absolutely, you can see the difference in that.
And mostly, like you said, vague condition. It could be simple, like having messed up, torn up, stinky carpet, and the walls need paint. It can be a lot of times little gingerbread stuff, at least to get you up with the other comps in that area as well,
yeah,
right?
It can be just small cosmetic things.
Awesome. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you about getting an appraisal on the property or getting some of that, what's the best way to get in touch with you from a contact standpoint?
843-808-1533. Again, that's 843-808-1533. That's for what it's worth appraisal.
Awesome, Michael. I appreciate it, man. We'll hope to have you on the show here again in the future.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. How much longer we got left, Dave?
Matter of 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Awesome. So one thing to remember, we are super, super busy right now going the first of the year. We have so many buyers who've been waiting who are ready to pull that trigger. Our agents are everything lined up this week, obviously after Christmas, so we can get in there, help. We have people coming into town, also people who are in town for the holidays. If you're thinking about selling, reach out and call me right now, 843-808-SOLD. We'll set a conversation with the first of the year and go from there as well.
All right, you heard the phone number, 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. If you'd like to get in touch with Blake Sloan at his office at Sloan Realty Group, or go online to BlakeSloan.com. That's BlakeSloan.com. We got another great show for you next week. Blake will do that.
Absolutely.
All right, happy holidays, and thanks for listening. It is the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Hey, it's your friend Sean.